Good morning, Jim Laird joining you live from Managua, Nicaragua. A very rare morning off. I get Saturday, Sundays off right now, so I can work on my internet stuff, catch up on some things, spend a little more time with Rommel. We've already walked today. We've already done my warm-up, and ready to go. Probably go to the gym here after I have a coaching call here in about a half an hour. So, good week this week. Looking forward to next week. We got one more week of practice, and then send the guys off to Guatemala for the Central American Games. So that'll be fun to watch that, and it's fun to see the guys improve every day, and a lot of the stuff they've never been exposed to. So a lot of them, we did some live BP this week, and a lot of them said, hey, because we're doing a lot of stuff they're not used to. At the beginning of the week, they were like, oh, I'm so tight, I was so sore. From doing really simple things like bear crawls. And I said, just hang in there, throw through it. I said, before BP, we're going to do some stuff to make you feel good. The day before, we're going to back off. And it came up to me like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. I moved really good today. So that getting them to understand that you've got to, in order to get stronger, in order to get better, you've got to put a little bit of stress on the system from time to time. Not every day, but, at least a couple times a week. So it's a process here. A lot of patience is required. That's the nice thing about being a strength coach is I don't decide who plays. I'm here to help everybody. Some guys I need to tell them to do a little less. Some guys need to do a little more. But I'm here to, help everyone. And I'm not the one that decides who plays and who doesn't. So it's good. I'm, hopefully, over time these guys realize that I'm their biggest ally. I'm their biggest fan. I want them all to do well because that's what's going to make the team better. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about, I work with the internet marketing thing is, he's really friendly. He's nice. Some of the staff here are just afraid of Rommel. He wants to be their friend. But they're afraid of him. He's a pit bull, so everyone's afraid of pit bulls here. So, internet marketing is this weird thing. You've got to specialize in one thing. And, I guess my thing is helping people that overdo it. That's generally been my kind of theme, particularly women. And you're supposed to market for one thing, but I've just, I've got 3 or 4 people that I've helped in the last couple weeks that have had autoimmune issues that no one else has been able to get them going in the right direction. And we've been able to make some really nice progress with them. I see, everything from, I get people that are in a rut in their life, and I've got so much life experience, with different jobs and creating businesses and being let go from businesses and just so much life experience that I'm able to guide people through difficult times. So I'm just not a very good marketer. So I have a wide array of tools and skill set. But let's talk a little bit about today, the reason I see most people struggling. There's two really big factors. And of course, the first one, and obviously when I work with anyone, we have to get the 5 fundamentals down. We have to get the outside, the protein, the water, the social connection, and then the get the lights off at night. That has to be the foundation of everything. But the ones that people struggle with the most are the, a lot of people don't realize, and it took me years of struggling and then finally hitting a wall to finally understand how big a deal your environment that you live in is. Most people today have a UV light, red light deficiency. They never spend any time outside at all. So they're not getting any sunlight on their skin. They're not getting any sun in their eyes. Your cells, just get on whatever AI you use and start looking at UV and cells, light and health, circadian rhythm and health. This is essential for your cellular function. And if you aren't getting good light, you're not getting a good light in your environment, your cells are just not going to function well. Your redox potential is going to be low, which is your body's ability to conduct an electric current, so to speak. So getting people to get outside at least 10 minutes 3 times a day, getting some skin in the game, that's essential. It doesn't matter whether you're trying to lose weight or you're trying to get more energy or you've got an autoimmune disease. It doesn't matter. That's foundational. We have to get people to get outside more. In the Western world, people have been sold this this narrative that the sun, you need to protect yourself from the sun. And yeah, I mean, obviously here on the equator, I got to be careful, but I don't use any sunscreen. I'm out from 8 in the morning till 11, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't burn anymore because I'm so used to it. And I think for 50 years old, my skin looks pretty damn good, right? So that's a big part of it, is just getting people off the screens, outside more, and getting them to do things if they do have to be inside, taking sun breaks, maybe having a red light in the background. But that right there, the environment that they live in, is a big factor in why most people are struggling with something. And the other big one is stress. Like, you have to learn how to control your stress response, and particularly your breathing. And one of the biggest things people don't understand is how you breathe. Your body has strategies, okay? Different body shapes kind of breathe differently in different ways. I've worked with a lot of people. I had one lady, this year, the more cardio she did, the higher her blood pressure got and the higher her heart rate got. And of course, they just said, well, you need to do more cardio. She was a very narrow person. She had a little bit of a pooch belly, which means her guts were going down. Okay, she had a number of pelvic floor issues past. She had a botched surgery that her pelvic floor basically was non-existent. They had put in some sort of mesh, but still, the more cardio she did, the more she felt tight through the chest. So we did some things, got her on her belly. We changed all her cardio to seated. We got her to support her pelvic floor so she wasn't having all her guts being smashed down. She was basically getting compressed front to back. We had her do some different things that would get her prone, on her belly, on her side, to open the chest up. All of a sudden, in a couple weeks of getting more, putting her in child's pose, getting her to open her chest up, her resting heart rate came down, her breathing improved without doing any extra cardio at all. All of a sudden, she could breathe easier and more relaxed. She wasn't being so compressed, and she made incredible improvement. But she was trying to basically improve her fitness, but her structure, her shape, she was unable to change shapes, was inhibiting her ability to relax and breathe. And it can also go for people like me who have big rib flare, who have tendency to have arch. I have a hard time exhaling, so I have to work on getting out of extension, getting into more flexion, so I can close my pump handle and my rib cage. I know that a lot of this terminology isn't going to make sense. Basically, if your pelvis is here and your rib cage is here, you're going to be breathing with your neck and your traps because your diaphragm, your pelvic floor can't work together to actually breathe for you. And so I was doing a lot of over breathing. I was hyperinflated because I was also doing powerlifting, which, you want to drive that arch to lift heavier weights. So me rounding over a stability ball, having someone actually blow my ribs down. What's up, Oscar? Hope you're doing well, man. Getting someone to blow my ribs down so I can actually exhale and relax. If you're in a state where you can't exhale, I get people all the time, they can't blow up a balloon. They try to exhale. I get people to start with a straw. So you can do all the breathing drills you want. If you don't have the right shape to breathe efficiently or to exhale, the exhale is when you relax. The breathe in, and then the long exhale is when your body chills out. Now, if you can't exhale because of the shape and the structure of your rib cage, you're going to have a hard time. So there's things we can do: rounding over a stability ball, doing different breathing drills, blowing up a balloon. These are things you can learn how to exhale. You learn how to exhale, and then also, learning how to slow your breathing down. If you can slow your breathing down, you're going to calm your nervous system down. So a lot of people will say, "Oh, just do this breathing drill." Well, that might work for some people, but a lot of times the way their rib cage is set up, their pelvic floor, the position of their body doesn't allow them to actually relax. So that's where the details come in. It's like, well, you need to do some relaxation, but if you can't exhale and you can't breathe well, you've got two extremes. You've got the narrow person who's being compressed, like having me stand on your chest, and it feels like you can't inhale. You're highly stressful if you can't breathe because you're compressed. And on the other extreme is if you're hyperinflated and you're arched and you're over breathing, and you can't exhale, you're just over breathing and you're in this highly alert state all the time and you can't relax. So there's different ways to approach these two issues, right? And if you just give someone a breathing drill and they can't actually breathe well, it's not going to work well. The one thing that does work well for both situations is putting the tongue in the roof of your mouth and slowing your breathing down and breathing less. That does help. But there's things we need to do to change your shape, and there's also ways we can incorporate it into your exercise program, so we're getting your body to move more efficiently. We're getting the rib cage to kind of change shape a little bit. And that's just a matter of exercise selection and making sure that, because a lot of the exercises that are traditionally popular, the way they're coached, particularly squats, certain types of deadlifts, rows, a lot of people are sticking their chests out really hard, and they're not getting that good zone of opposition. So they're driving that extension pattern, which, if you can't get out of that, if you can't get into flexion, and you don't have variability in movement, you're going to have a hard time relaxing. And then for the narrow people, if they try to put on a bunch of muscle, that's going to create more compression. It's going to make the breathing for them even worse. And there's ways around all that stuff, that, moving, reaching, getting the pelvis and the rib cage in a good position so that we don't drive, an emergency strategy, so to speak. So I know this is trying to make this as simple as possible, but the big two things is you got to get your circadian rhythm in order, you got to get more sun, and then you got to learn how to breathe less, and you got to make sure you're breathing efficiently with a good rib cage position, with a rib cage that will expand and contract. The rib cage is designed to move. It's the biggest thing I see with the baseball guys I work with. A lot of them are so locked up through the thorax, they can't move their rib cage, they can't move through the thorax. So getting them to do some things in their warm up and in the weight room that helps restore their ability for their scapula to move around their rib cage, and all of a sudden elbow issues start going away, and the hips as well. So the body's a system. A lot of people don't understand the body's a complete system, and you got to treat the whole system. Your knee issue could be a hip issue, your shoulder issue could be a knee issue, a hip issue. So you got to treat the entire system. You got to increase movement options sometimes. That's where the nuance comes in. That's where working with somebody who has a lot of experience to look at you and see exactly where you're at, and getting people moving no matter what situation they're in. If you're in a really bad place, you might just need to move around on your bed a little bit, but you've got to move and you got to get outside, even if you can only sit on your patio. So there's just a few thoughts for you. Of course, I got my men's and women's community, Vitality Brotherhood, Vitality Sisterhood. You can go to vitalitybrotherhood.com to join either one of those groups. I also have a recommended product page with a bunch of different equipment I recommend. Got red light, got blue blocking glasses. You can book a call with me if you need some help coaching wise. I do work with people. My schedule is going to be a little easier here in the next couple weeks, and I get into more routine. I'll have more time to work with people. I work with people in a group and individually to kind of give you a little bit of help. And then if you find this content helpful, there's a place where you can buy me a cup of coffee if you like, which would really help. I get the average salary here in Nicaragua is $200 a month. So for the work that I'm doing here, got cut off there for a second. I'm not getting paid what I'm used to, obviously, if I was coaching in the U.S. or Canada. So if you find this content helpful, I plan to put on I'm a horrible marketer. I'm not trying to make, I don't need to be driving a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, or I don't need to have, $50,000, $60,000 in sales every month. I just want to make a comfortable living, and I want to help as many people as possible. So I can't do the marketing thing. It's just not in my nature. I've tried. It doesn't work for me. I just generally want to help as many people as possible. So if you want to buy me a cup of coffee, that would be helpful. So have yourself a great day. Make sure you get outside today. Just do a couple simple things. Take the time to sit. Like this morning, I sat with Rommel, had a cup of coffee, no phone, slowed my breathing down, breathed through my nose, relaxed, went for my walk. Just start with a few simple things like that. Get in the habit of, when you're in your car, put the tongue in the roof of your mouth, breathe through your nose while you're driving, in the grocery store, be more present, be mindful. If you can't put the tongue in the roof of your mouth, you need to go see an ear, nose, throat specialist. You have something that's called a tongue tie, which if you can't put the tongue in the roof of your mouth, you're going to have a really hard time relaxing. And regulation of nervous system is, especially with all the phones and the notifications, that's a big part of why so many people are struggling today. So make sure you take the time to get outside, and we'll see you again soon. Tomorrow, actually.